Shalom, giving all praises to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rahahakwadash. Double honors to the apostles, the bishops, the elders at Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations, as always, to the elect. And I wanted to do a response to this topic. All right. And this is a video done by the Elder Manatazakba, but the Apostle Tahar and other elders and apostles and brothers as well have touched on it. But I've been meaning to get to this video for a few days, and I finally got the time. So I'm gonna just go into it real quick, where this is the elder page, GMS South Carolina 08. Subscribe and be edified. All right. Black Baptist pastor tells Hebrew Israelites about the elect. And again, these are topics that we never heard about. All right. In our, some of us, 20 plus, some 10 plus, some 30 plus. Some brothers have, were in the Christian church 40 plus years, and we never heard topics about the elect. We never heard topics about Esau. We never, went into any of these topics that Christians are now so fervent to go into. You see, because as the Apostle Tahar and various apostles say, is the Hebrew Israelites made the Christians step their game up as concerning the Holy Scriptures. You see, the Hebrew Israelites, awakening, which is biblical prophecy. It's not something, guided by man's wisdom. There's actually prophecies we can go into where the Israelites would awaken in the latter days. You see, well, with that happening, the failed religion of Christianity, all right, and its minions are either following us around, going to various different camps, even the camps we don't agree with. They're doing videos, they're on TikTok, they're on Instagram, they're on YouTube, they're on Facebook, they're everywhere. And they're talking about the Hebrew Israelites. All right. And usually, it's always a topic of God loving everybody. Everybody can be saved. All right. Which, when you look up the true understanding of salvation, all right, it's being entered into the new covenant, being changed in the twinkling of an eye, receiving a new body's eternal life. All right. And being joint heirs with who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, to rule as he establishes the throne of David. All right. On earth as it is in heaven. That's salvation. You see, and that's not for all nations. That's not even for all Israel. All right. It's for the elect. And that's what we're going to talk about here in this video, which the elect, the remnant, or the remnant of Jacob, the remnant of Israel, as we'll show you in the Bible, okay, are the elect, starting, all right, because everything is in order in our kingdom, with the 144,000. The 12 disciples will be at the head of that. And after them, you have a large multitude, all right, of Israelites that will be gathered from all kindreds, all right, and nations and tongues from throughout the various different countries throughout the four corners of the earth. There's going to be Israelites. Some will look just like heathen. They will speak heathen languages, but the Heavenly Father is going to have mercy on them. That's the elect, as it is written in Revelation, the 7th chapter. Okay, the 144,000 and a large multitude are the remnant of Israel. All right. And that's what the Bible was talking about as pursuant to the elect. So let's play this and then we'll get some scriptures.
You believe that Jesus died for everyone, don't you?
Here we
And
go.
I said, absolutely not. This foreigner, by the way, when I said this, when I told him I did not believe that Jesus died for everyone in the entire world, he said, well, then who did Jesus die for? I said, Jesus died for the elect. And this man was befuddled. He's like, wait a minute, you are a black pastor, black Baptist pastor, and you don't believe that Jesus died for everyone, and you believe that Jesus died for the elect? I said, absolutely. This is where our paths diverged, though, because he said, who are the elect? And I told him, the elect.
And these pastors wasn't talking about the elect. All right. And who the Messiah died for. Let's get the book of Acts. Let's get Acts, the 5th chapter real quick, and we'll go back. Acts, the 5th chapter and the 29th verse. And it's too late for you Christians. It's over. Acts 5 and 29. Then Peter and the other apostles answered and said, we ought to obey the Most High rather than men. The God of our fathers raised up Yahushua, who ye slew and hanged on a tree. All right. Him hath the Most High exalted with his right hand to be a prince and a savior, for to give repentance to Israel and forgiveness of sins. All right. Romans, the 9th chapter. All right. Romans, the 9th chapter. Romans 9 and 3. For I wish that myself were accursed from Hamashiach for my brethren, for my kinsmen according to the flesh, who are Israelites, to whom pertaineth the adoption and the glory and the covenants. Okay, which the covenants deal with salvation, man. The covenant, the second covenant is salvation for the Israelites. And the giving of the law, okay, and the service of the Most High, and the promises, whose are the fathers, and of whom as concerning the flesh the Messiah came, who was over all, blessed forever. Amen. All right. And according to Romans, the 11th chapter, okay, Romans 11 and 4, but what saith the answer of the Most High unto him? I have reserved to myself 7,000 men, which is symbolic, all right, of that 144,000. And under them, we know you have the large multitude, which will get that, who have not bowed the knee to the image of Baal. Even so, then, at this present time, there is a remnant according to the election of grace. There is a remnant according to the election of grace. And all we have to do is just type in remnant of Israel. That remnant is speaking of Israel. Okay? There's various scriptures we can go into. All right? Isaiah 10 and 20, and it shall come to pass in that day that the remnant of Israel, and we're going to show you that that's the elect, and such are escaped out of the house of Jacob, shall no more again stay upon him that smote them, but they shall stay upon Yahweh, the Lord of hosts, the Holy One of Israel, in truth. Verse 22, for though thy people Israel be as the sand of the sea, as it was promised to Abraham, yet a remnant of them shall return. All right, the consumption decree shall overflow with righteousness. Okay, Isaiah 11 and 16, and there shall be an highway for the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria, like as it was to Israel in the day when they came out of the land of Egypt. And Assyria is symbolic of America here in this chapter. Okay, so the remnant of Israel, Jeremiah 6 and 9, thus saith the Lord of hosts, they shall thoroughly glean the remnant of Israel as a vine. All right, those that are left represent, you know, that cluster, that elect that we're going to talk about here in this chapter. Okay, Jeremiah 31 and 7, for thus saith the Lord, sing with gladness for Jacob, and shout among the chief of the nations. Publish ye, praise ye, and say, O Lord, save thy people, the remnant of Israel. Okay, and there's various other scriptures, all right, that we can go into. Okay, Micah 2:12, I will surely assemble Jacob, all of thee. I will surely gather the remnant of Israel. I will put them together as the sheep of Basra and as the flock in the midst of the fold. Okay. Zephaniah 3:13, the remnant of Israel shall not do iniquity nor speak lies, neither shall a deceitful tongue be found in their mouth. All right. Romans 9:27. All right. Isaiah also cried concerning Israel, though the number of the children of Israel be as the sand of the sea, a remnant shall be saved. All right. So Yahweh's sacrifice was so that that remnant can be what? Covered under his blood. All right. And saved into the new covenant. So let's go back to this video. And
the elect is anyone who believes in the Lord Jesus Christ, has placed faith in him, by way of repentance and faith, has accepted the free offer of salvation. And he disagreed with my definition of who the elect are, because according to him, the elect is only the nation of Israel. And I asked him, I said, so can white people be saved?
There you go. It's always white people. They never ask about Africans, Chinese, Hawaiians, Samoans, Japanese, Lebanese. They don't ask about nobody else but the so-called white man. You see? It's a stronghold on the mind of our people. All right, when it comes to that so-called white man. And there's no such nation as so-called white, because there's Israelites who look like so-called white people. Okay, there's Israelites that look like so-called Africans. There's Israelites that look like so-called Chinese. There's Israelites that look like Arabs. All right. But we don't go by the pseudoscience given by the so-called white man. That's why we say so-called. We go by what's written in the scriptures, and what's written in the scriptures is Edomites, Moabites, Ammonites, Israelites, Hamites. You have the Japhites. Okay. The 18 nations that stem from Shem, Ham, and Japheth after the flood determine who make up the nations today. And none of the nations outside of the nation of Israel will be brought into that new covenant. See? The elect are of the nation of Israel. See, the heathen will be in the kingdom. They will be left, all right, for the purpose of servitude and being obedient and bowing to the Yahweh Shai, the names of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, and to the holy people on earth. All right. But they will never be joint heirs with Hamashiach or receive of the promises and of the good services of the Most High, all right, that he gave unto his people Israel. And Christians have a problem with that. They have a problem with you going by the narrative of the Bible, because what they get twisted on is the term Gentile. And again, they throw away 300 plus years of history that happened in the Greek captivity, and they jump from Malachi to Matthew and think that you can just jump from the Persian Empire, all right, the Medo-Persian Empire to the Roman Empire, and leave out the Greek Empire, which you got to get that history from the Apocrypha, all right, which the Messiah himself celebrated a holy day that stemmed from the Apocrypha, all right, in the form of Hanukkah, all right, Hanukkah, all right, in John the 10th chapter, all right. And he was at the Feast of Dedication. It wasn't condemned. He was there. That stemmed from what happened with the Maccabees and the Edomites. Anyway, let's keep listening.
And he said, not the ones in America, at least. Which I said, so how is an individual justified then? How can a person who's a sinner be justified?
First of all, the only sinners, okay, are of the nation of Israel as pertaining to that covenant. Now, heathen do sin. Okay. However, when it comes to who was a covenant was made with that made us sinners, it comes to the nation of Israel. When we agreed to the terms of that first covenant, all right, and broke it, that made us sinners, and our sins needed to be covered. That's where Yahweh Shai comes in to bring us back to the Father. But it's not even all Israel. It's a remnant of Israel that will be brought back under that blood and justified by faith. You see?
All right, so we heard enough.
We heard enough. Exactly. So now pastors are going to tell us who the elect are. All right. This is the book of Isaiah 45 and 4. For Jacob, my servant's sake, and Israel, mine elect. All right. We can close the book right there, but we'll get into a few points and close it out. I have called thee by name. I have surnamed thee, though thou hast not known me. Israel is mine elect. All right. Isaiah 65 and 9, a future prophecy. All right. Judgment and the final salvation, as you can see, a rebellious people. All right. So let's get Isaiah 65. All right. And 9, because the Lord is going to do away with the rebellious of our people, and he's going to have mercy on the meek and the humble. Okay. Isaiah 65. And let's see here. In 8, I'll read this in the NLT. But I will not destroy them all, says the Lord. All who? Israel. Okay? I will not destroy them all, says the Lord, the remnant. For just as good grapes are found amongst the cluster of bad ones, and someone will say, don't throw them all away. Some of those grapes are good, so I will not destroy all Israel, for I will still have true servants there, and that's the remnant. Before I read the next verse, let me get a scripture real quick. Okay, I believe it's in 2nd Esdras. Give me 1 second here. Let's see here. Yep, 2nd Esdras 9. And let's start at 21. It says, I started 20. So I considered the world, and behold, there was peril because of the devices that were coming to it. Iniquity, sin, technology, pseudoscience, and I saw and I spared it greatly, and have kept me a grape of the cluster and a plant of a great people. Let the multitude perish then that was born in vain, and let my grape be kept and my plant, for with great labor have I made it perfect. And that's the elect. Okay? Remember, Israel is going to be as the sand of the sea, but a remnant will return. All right? And the elect, the remnant, you can't believe your way from being a Moabite to being an Israelite. Okay? That's just not that whole grafted in concept. That applies to olives, Israelites. Israelites are likened unto an olive tree in the Bible, in various scriptures. All right. Some of the branches were broken off. Let's get that real quick. Real quick. All right. When you get the concept of Romans, the 11th chapter, which Christians break that down wrong. All right. Jeremiah 11 and 16. The Lord have called thy name a green olive tree, fair and of goodly fruit. With the great noise of a great tumult have he kindled it, a fire upon it. All right. And when you go into the science of an olive tree and fire, olive trees can survive fires because there's an oil within the tree that makes it resistant to being all the way burnt down. All right. And its roots are so rooted in the ground that it will always grow back. So olive trees survive fires. All right. This book deals highly with agriculture as well. So he kindled a fire upon it, and the branches of it are broken. All right. And that's what happened to the nation of Israel. All right. So the branches that were grafted back on are of the nation of Israel. It's just that they were wild. All right. In the sense that they were not natural branches that were cultivated in the law, statutes, and commandments as those of the circumcision. But when you go into the history of the Greek Empire, you find out that our people fell away, all right, into Greco-Roman idols, all right, but they were brought back in by faith and were cleansed from their past sins, man, and grafted onto the tree. Anyway, Isaiah 65, all right, and let's read it again. Let's see here. Let's see here. Speaking of what Israel did, let's start at 7. Your iniquities and the iniquities of your fathers together, saith the Lord, which have burned incense upon the mountains and blasphemed me upon the hills. Therefore will I measure their former work also in their bosom. That's why we went into captivity. Thus saith the Lord, as the new wine is found in the cluster, and one said, destroy it not. All right, for a blessing is in it, so will I do for my servant's sake. All right, that I may not destroy them all. And I will bring a seed, a remnant out of Jacob, all right, and out of Judah, an inheritor of my mountains, which that's going to be Yahushai, okay, and mine elect shall inherit it, and my servant shall dwell there. In the NLT, I will preserve a remnant of the people of Israel and of Judah to possess my land. All right. Those I choose will inherit it, and my servants will live there. Okay. So let's look up this term elect. In the Hebrew, Bachayar. Chosen, choice one, chosen one. All right. Elect of God. And the root word is bakar or bachar. To choose, elect, decide, to be chosen. And Israel is the chosen of the Most High. All right. Point blank, period. Psalms 135:4. For the Lord hath chosen Jacob unto himself, and Israel for his peculiar treasure. Isaiah 41:8. But thou, Israel, art my servant, Jacob, whom I have chosen, the seed of Abraham, my friend. Okay. Isaiah 44:1. Yet now hear, O Jacob, my servant, and Israel, whom I have chosen. Okay. And ultimately, here in Acts 9, all right, speaking of Paul, but the Lord said unto him, go thy way, for he is a chosen vessel unto me to bear my name before the Gentiles and kings and the children of Israel. All right, just as Isaiah was sent, all right, to preach this message. Okay, Paul was sent to preach this message, and we are preaching, all right, to the kings. And this is speaking of Israelites in this chapter. All right. But that's another lesson for another time. All right. Let's get the book of Acts. All right. No, let's get the book of Peter. All right. The book of Peter. Give me 1 second here. Elect according to the foreknowledge. All right. And even one of their great Christian leaders, John Calvin, vocabs, where he gets his gospel from, he believes and knows that this is speaking of Israelites. Okay. 1 Peter 1:1. Peter, an apostle of Yahushua HaMashiach, to the strangers scattered throughout Pontus, Galatia, Cappadocia, Asia, Bithynia, elect. See, to the strangers scattered. All right. Now in the book of James 1:1. All right. James says James, a servant of the Most High and of the Lord Yahushua HaMashiach, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, greeting. So the 12, those who are scattered abroad, to whom salvation pertaineth to, all right, it's talking about the Israelites, man. Okay. And this word scattered, and this is kind of basically like a light sparring. You just use these little Christians for target practice, man. It's the same thing. All right. Diaspora, scattering, dispersion of Israelites dispersed among foreign nations, of the Christians, which are Israelites, scattered abroad amongst the Gentiles. It's the same thing. All right, because according to a curse, we would be scattered amongst all of these various different nations. Let's get Deuteronomy real quick. All right, Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter. In the 64th verse. This is one of the curses that happened to the Israelites. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people from one end of earth even unto the other, and there shalt thou serve other gods, which thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. So that's what was happening here, all right, in the New Testament. But some of these particular Israelites who were scattered, all right, woke up and put off the idols that they were partaking in the Greco-Roman captivity. So Peter, an apostle, all right, let's read this in the NLT. This letter is from Peter, an apostle of Hamashiach Yahweh Shai, and writing to God's people who are living as foreigners, all right, in the provinces of Pontus, Galatia, Cappadocia, Asia, and Bithynia. Okay, but as you read here, verse 2 in the King James, elect according to the foreknowledge of the Most High the Father, through the sanctification of the Spirit, unto the obedience of the sprinkling of the blood, which that blood, okay, was ultimately to cover the sins of the elect of the nation of Israel. Okay? Hebrews, the 9th chapter, we just went into it. We always go into it. All right? Those who broke, okay, the first covenant and needed forgiveness of sins and to be covered are the Israelites. Hebrews 9 and 15, we always bring this out. Let's read it in the NLT. For that is why he is the one who mediates a new covenant between God and the people, so that all who are called, all right, can receive the eternal inheritance God has promised them. And the promise was given unto Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and fell on a lot of the 12 tribes. For Hamashiach died to set them free from the penalty of the sins they had committed under that first covenant. So who was the first covenant given to? The Israelites. Right? It was the Israelites in the book of Exodus, the 28th chapter, okay, who agreed. Exodus 24, maybe. Salakia. Exodus 24. All right. The people affirmed their covenant with the Lord. So what people confirmed a covenant with the Lord and broke it and sinned? Okay? The Israelites. Okay? The Israelites. Just read it. Reading is fundamental. Okay? So those who needed covering for their sins, all right, are basically the Israelites who received that covenant. All right? So elect according to the foreknowledge, 1 Peter 1 and 2, all right, of the Most High, the Father, through the sanctification of the Spirit, unto obedience and the sprinkling of the blood of Hamashiach, grace unto you and peace be multiplied. So let's look up this word, all right, elect in the Greek. See if we can get it here. Interesting. I don't see it here. So what I'll do, elect, what I'll do is just type in elect and look it up in the Greek. Let's see here. Let's see here. Titus 1 and 1, Paul, a servant of the Most High and apostle of Yahweh Shai, according to the faith of God's elect and the acknowledgement of the truth, which is after godliness. So see, we can look up the word elect here. All right. Electos, picked out, chosen by the Most High to obtain salvation through Hamashiach. Christians or followers of the Mashiach. All right. Because this term Christian, all right, If you don't know, you may be new. This goes back, all right, to when the disciples, all right, were called Christian. Okay? I believe Acts 11. Let's see here. Acts 11 and 26. And when he had found him, he brought them unto Antioch. And it came to pass that the whole year they assembled themselves with the church and taught much people. And the disciples were called Christians, all right, first at Antioch. They were called Christians, all right, but who were they? They were Israelites. When Yahushua assembled all of his, followers, they were Israelites. When he saw, I believe it was Nathaniel or Andrew 1, he said, behold, an Israelite indeed, in whom is no guile. He understood that that was one of the elect. Okay? But this term Christian seems to, in this world be used to just tie anyone of any nationality, all right, who believes in Jesus Christ to the covenant. No, that ain't what that's talking about. These were followers of Yahushua. Okay? And Yahushua was an Israelite himself, and Israelites followed him. It's just that he gathered from amongst the circumcision first, and then he sent his disciples out, okay, to go and preach, all right, among these various different nations where uncircumcised Israelites or Israelites that wasn't raised in the customs were scattered. All right, but they were first called Christians. It was at Antioch that the believers were first called Christians. See, if you read it in the NLT, it was at Antioch that the believers were first called Christians. So there was never a religion established called Christianity. It's just that the followers of Yahushua, all right, were called Christians. All right, and Christ can be tied to many idols. Serapis Christus, Krishna. They were followers of the Mashiach. When you go into the Hebrew, that's what they said. We follow the Mashiach, the Messiah. They weren't calling themselves Christians. This was a derogatory term placed on them at the time as they were in Antioch, which in Antioch, they received a lot of resistance. Okay, scuffles, all kind of stuff happened in Antioch. Anyway, this term elect or electos, elect, all right, Christians are called chosen elect of God. The Messiah is called elect and as appointed by God, the most exalted office. All right, choice, select the best of its kind or class. All right, excellent, preeminent, applied to certain individual Christians. Now, let's prove that that's talking about Israelites. Let's go to the root word first to pick out. And the Israelites, the elect, were chosen from the foundation of the earth. All right, choosing for one office. But we'll stick to this one right here. Choice, select the best of its kind or class. Let's go to the book of Revelation, the 14th chapter real quick. As it talks about the 144,000, all right, who are charged with singing the new song, teaching the gospel. No man can learn that song but one of these 144,000. And they will go out and teach. And those who had ears to hear and eyes to see would turn back to the Lord via their message, via them singing a new song. All right. Now, just to get to the point. All right. First, we'll read it in NLT, then the King James. Speaking of the 144,000, it says, they have kept themselves pure as virgins, following the Lamb whithersoever he goes. All right. They have been purchased from among the people on the earth as a special offering to God and to the Lamb. Okay. Now let's read this in the King James. These are they which were not defiled with women, no strange philosophies, for they are virgins. Okay, not in a literal sense as vocab Malone teaches. Imagine if being, saved into the kingdom was predicated upon, all right, you being an actual virgin. It would be two people beamed up. Jake is nasty, man. Jake likes to do the nasty. And it ain't nasty. It's a natural act. that men, like Peter, he had a wife. Many of the disciples had wives. So you mean to tell me they're not going to be delivered because they aren't virgins, you weirdos? This is in a spiritual sense. That's why Paul said, I've espoused you to one husband that I may present you as a chaste virgin to Hamashiach Yahushai. You have to understand agriculture. You got to understand symbolism. You got to understand poetry. All right. And you got to be in the spirit to understand this book. And now that the Israelites have awakened, the truth of the Bible is coming out, and the Christians are just trying to ride the coattail. Now they want to talk about the elect. Whenever you went to church in the world, in today's sermon, we're going to talk about the elect. Never. Okay? Come on, man. And if they did bring it up again, they're bringing it up from a off perspective. So these are virgins, meaning they're covered by the blood of Yahushai. Nothing. There's no charge you can bring against these people. Okay, and they stick to to the script. All right. These are they which follow the Lamb with us every go. These were redeemed from among men, being the first fruits unto the Most High, unto the Lamb. So this word first fruits, right? A parquet. Okay. The first fruits, just like the Feast of First Fruits. Okay. You have a spiritual first fruits. All right. But when you read the point here, it says 3 persons superior in excellence to others of the same class. Okay. The beginning, all right, of a sacrifice. And that's Yahushai in the 144,000. So the 144,000 are the first fruits, which is an elect. All right. When you get Revelation, the 7th chapter, all right, these 144,000 are from the tribes of Israel, 12,000 out of each tribe, which vocab says this is not literal. And see, what they're saying is that this don't apply to literal Israelites. This is just the believers. Let's get Jeremiah 33 real quick for these suckers. Jeremiah 33. And let's read it in the NLT 24. Have you noticed what people are saying? The Lord chose Judah and Israel, then abandoned them. They are sneering and saying that Israel is not worthy to be counted as a nation. But this is what the Lord says, that replacement theology. So now Israel has been cut off from the promise that was given unto Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And now literal heathen has replaced them as the elect. That's what they're teaching. I would no more reject. This is what the Lord says. I will no more reject my people than I would change the laws that govern the night and day in the sky. All right. I will never abandon the descendants of Jacob or David, my servant, or change the plan that David's descendants will rule. All right. The descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Instead, I will restore them to their land and have mercy on them. See? So this is their wish. So you have the 144,000, okay, the tabernacle of David, pursuing the Revelation 21, all right, and then you're going to have a large multitude, all right, verse 9, and after this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude which no man can number, of all nations and kindreds and people and tongues, all right. Now the old breakdown of Christians is that, well, the 144,000 are Israelites, all right, but the large multitude are heathen, which you mean to tell me the Lord is only going to save 144,000 of his own people, but an innumerable multitude of the heathen? No, this is talking about the Israelites. Okay, quick precept. Ezekiel 36. And let's just get straight to the point, because I'll end it in a minute. This is speaking of what to the Israelites, okay? Israel to be renewed for his name's sake. You can read that title to these following scriptures, but I'm going to just jump to the point. Verse 24, for I will take you from among the heathen and gather you out of all countries, and I will bring you into your own land. See? This is what the Lord is going to do with the nation of Israel. Okay? This is what's going to happen. And he's going to what? He's going to cleanse us and bring us into that new covenant. All right? That's going to happen when we enter into those chariots. But it's going to happen by him what? Taking us from among the heathen where we've been gathered. So when you read Revelation 7, after this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude which no man could number, of all nations and kindreds and people and tongues, stood before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes and palms in their hands, and they cried with a loud voice, saying, salvation to our God. Well, who's he the God of? All right, let's get Luke 1:68. Okay. Blessed be the Lord God of Israel, for he hath visited and redeemed his people, and hath raised up an horn of salvation for us in the house of his servant David, as he spake by the mouth of his holy prophet since the world began, that we should be saved from our enemies in the hand of all of them that hate us. So, out of all nations and kindreds, the word kindred, okay, the large multitude out of all nations and kindreds, all right, phule, in the New Testament, all persons descending from one of the 12 sons of the patriarch of Jacob. All right, so the elect, the special possessions, those who are more superior, all right, in rank to the rest of the nation of Israel, starts with the 144,000, but also the large multitude. That's the elect. That's the remnant whom the Lord is going to gather. Let's end it off here in 2nd Esdras, the 2nd chapter. Second Esdras, the 2nd chapter. In the 40th verse, take thy number, O Sion, shut up those that are clothed in white, which have fulfilled the law of the Lord. The number of thy children whom thou longest for is fulfilled. Beseech the power of the Lord, that thy people which have been called from the beginning, chosen from the foundation of the world, may be hallowed. I, Esdras, saw upon the Mount Zion a great people whom I could not number, and they praised the Lord with songs. So he's seeing the same thing John saw. Okay, the elect, starting with the 144, and then a large multitude, all right, singing songs to the Lord, their power. And in the midst of them there was a young man of high stature, taller than the rest, and upon every one of their heads he set crowns, and I was more exalted, which I marveled greatly. Okay, so I asked the angel and said, sir, what are these? He said, these are they which have been put off the mortal clothing and have put on the immortal, and have confessed the name of the Most High. Now they are crowned and receive palms. And I said unto the angel, what is this young person for this that crowneth them and giveth them palms in their hands? And he answered and said unto me, this is the Son of God, whom they have confessed in the world, which I begin to greatly commend them that stood so stiffly for the name of the Lord. So the Israelites are the elect, man. Sirach 46:1, Joshua, the son of Nave, was valiant in the wars and was a successor of Moses in prophecies, who according to his name was made great for the saving of the elect of God, and taking vengeance upon the enemies that rose up against him, that he might set Israel in their inheritance. All right, well, this time is going to be Yahushai, who brings Israel to their inheritance, which is the promised land given unto our fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. All right, and you Christians are played out, worn out through. All right, and just keep trying. All right, it's over.